daily financial news update. Been up for a little while. I think I read like 15 articles this morning. So I want to give you a heads up on what's going on. But first, give you a heads up. As I indicated, I think in a Saturday video, one of the things we are doing on this channel is we are going to be donating some goods to a um, charity organization who just opened a facility in Fresno. I think it's called the Warming Center, basically an emergency warming center. Um, you know, we want to have a positive impact where we can. So that is something we're doing today. We're running up there to get some plates and toilet paper and socks and just the things that were on their list, so that the facility can help and I think really potentially save some lives because it gets kind of cold out there in Fresno during the winter, and we want to do our part to get back. So that is what's on our agenda today. But before we do that, give you a little taste of what I saw in the news today. First off, our run of being, I don't know, correct, accurate, just general things kind of falling into place continues. I talked about over the weekend and late last week that I expected the few trading days that we have left, in absence of a true black swan out of left field thing, that the stocks would generally rise into the end of the year. I didn't think demand, right, which would be trades, would be high, but I think in general people are positive. The trade war's behind us, the strikes behind us, the Fed is accommodating. It's just a good time, right? There's less gotchas and boogeymen and things out there. So I think that continues. I would warn you to not get complacent. Um, I think there's a lot of people holding on right now that are saying, you know what, I don't want to sell in December for tax reasons, right? If you sell in January, kind of delay taxes for a year roughly, perhaps over a year if you sell in January of 20, as you won't pay till January, or I'm sorry, till April of 21. I don't know. That's, just be careful, right? Because, I think the market, January will be interesting, I think, as people level set, they get ready for the new year and all of that. So just, you know, look at your portfolio, see what's going on, see if you want to take any money off the table, or you just want to write it out. Again, not a stock guy. Don't bet on stocks. Don't invest, don't own a stock. So what do I know? Next up, we talked about over the weekend, home builders confidence report coming out. It was one of those things that you need to watch. It surprised on the upside, at least to me. It was running into this report at 70. Anything over 50 is good. And it jumped to 76, which is quite significant, at least in my mind. And even more impressive is this is the highest number since 1999. So they are feeling good. I still think there's room to the upside for housing. I think it could be one of those parts of the economy that kind of carries us in 20 and 21, as the builders could be building more. I think they could be building different inventory. I think they are, um, they're suffering from actually having a strong employment base because workers have gone on to do less hard work in other trades. So I think it's interesting. There's still that shortage, right? A mismatch of demand and supply. I think some builders will be in trouble if they don't correct themselves. But if you're building affordable homes today in most of the U.S., you're feeling pretty good. So, um, you know, there there's very little downside now. But remember, builders always build until they can't, and there will be a time in the future where this is a problem. But again, I've said for weeks now that I think 2020 is going to be fine, and I think home builders are going to be fine. Because again, assuming they're building the right type of house, um, the demand is there. So, and then interest rates we've already talked about many times aren't going anywhere in 2020. So, people should be locking in 30-year money for their owner occupant house at the moment. The trade agreement, again, we got this one right too. I kind of pontificated over the weekend about, hey, it's great, it's signed, or great, it's agreed to. The next step is, okay, where and when is it signed, the picture, all that nonsense. But also, I pontificated that it may be light on details, right? It was kind of a rushed agreement given the compelling event of Sunday's tariffs. So near as I can tell, there's a couple specifics, um, like China has agreed to buy 200 billion more in agriculture, which sounds significant until you realize our trade deficit's over 400 billion, right? So it takes step in the right directions for sure, but it does nothing to or doesn't close the gap that is out there. So that is interesting. Next thing is it does call for oversight, which I thought was a good negotiation because you can imagine an agreement without oversight and penalties is not very interesting. So it'll be interesting to watch. The other thing is next year is the election year. This is going to become a topic probably for us to talk about for another year, and I'm going to be annoyed by it because politics are not healthy in my opinion, but we're going to have to talk about it because it's going to impact the market. It's going to impact consumer confidence. It's going to rile us all up on different topics. So it unfortunately we'll have to talk about it. And I think China is going to be the big bad wolf in many circles, just because we're going to go after them because they're the trade policies and the like could be stronger, and people in I think it was the 80s were tough on crime was the thing. So I think people are going to pick on and latch on to China as the big bad actor in 2020 election cycle. So it would be interesting. Next up, stock buybacks. Did you know that stock buybacks fell in volume by 15% in 2019? I was shocked by that, but also encouraged for a couple of reasons. First off, stock buybacks have historically proven not to be a very good use of company capital, right? If the company can't find a way to invest their cash that's more profitable than buying their own stock back. Hey Eric, morning from Mountain View, California. How you doing? So stock buyback again down 15%. It's interesting, um, that people are seeing that as a negative because again it's part of demand, right? Stock buybacks have outpaced mutual fund demand, for example, but I'm encouraged because companies have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders, and why should they waste cash, buying their stock, which probably gooses their earnings per share and their own bonuses and kind of a selfish activity. Also, remember though, there was a what do you call it 6 months of this year where the economy was kind of shaky. So many companies could have looked at their cash balance and said, hey, you know what? We were going to do a stock buyback, but let's wait. Let's wait to see how this trade agreement happens. Let's wait to see what the Fed does. This is before the Fed cut 3 times. So, this stock buybacks could surprise to the upside in the first half of 2020, in my opinion. This article called for another 5% cut. I actually believe, just given the arrogance of many companies, that stock buybacks will be up next year, at least up in the first half. I think the second half next year is going to be anybody's guess because, again, of the election. But I think stock buybacks will actually increase in the first half of next year. So we'll see. I disagree with this article on that concept. Next up, can you believe Boeing is still building this 737 Max? I I don't know why I found that shocking, but I was shocked. And I've talked about it a couple of times now. I didn't expect them to get approval this year, which again was right. Uh, I can't imagine where they're keeping all these things. I mean, they're building a plane to stick it in some desert somewhere. That doesn't make sense to me, right? And again, I don't know anything about plane manufacturing or plane use, but I got to tell you, a plane sitting in the desert somewhere mothballed doesn't really put confidence in the plane, right? I mean, it's just crazy. So I can't believe they're still building them. I can't believe it's a question, right? They're quote unquote debating halting the production line. I mean, don't you already have enough? I mean, what are you doing? That's I don't get it. That's I don't know. That's interesting. But again, maybe the issue is in the software, and you can fix software, easier. I don't know. And maybe they have to build something or they lay people off because again, a plane production line is probably not easy to swap out to something else. So I guess I get it, but wow, I was really shocked that they're still building this planes that the FAA won't let fly. That's like building a car that you can't drive, I guess. I don't know. Uh, Next up, it looks like people are starting to acknowledge Tesla is leading the electric car race, which is just seems odd, but whatever. Um, what I mean by that is it's odd that people are recognizing it. Isn't it clear that they're leading in several areas? Um, One is in software. Many people so I live in the Valley and I've met many people that work at Tesla, and they really do look at the car as software, right? They put in some fun gags. Go look at Tesla YouTube videos, and people can make it dance, and all these different things. So they absolutely treat their car, it is software, where a lot of other car manufacturers are worried about the interior and the dashboard and all those things. Um, yeah, I hope the software never gets hacked. Oh, believe me, it will get hacked for sure. There's no question. But you're right, it's scary. Um, but that's where Tesla thinks. That's why some of the negatives about Tesla are on the interior, right? They're like, that's not where their focus is. They'll probably get there eventually, but they are, up on software, and then of course their battery, right? They were the first to get a battery 300 miles, and all of that stuff. So they clearly have a lead, and they're clearly behind on interior design and all of that stuff. But that stuff will come, in my opinion. And to a comment, forgive me, I forget who put it up in one of those little thought bubbles. Yeah, it is scary to think what could happen to software if it ever got hacked. Let's see what Felipe has to say. People have this. Yeah, yeah. Uh, People are definitely skeptical of Elon, but again, he thinks. I like to think in decades. It seems like he thinks in lifetimes, right? His target to go to Mars and colonize Mars and all of those things. He is a different and powerful kind of thinker for sure, and um, he deserves all the good and the bad that comes with that. So good for him. Next up, does anybody here have an Alexa device, specifically Alexa Echo? Um, if you do, did you know you can get Samuel L. Jackson's voice on that for 99 cents apparently? So a couple of things about this. First off, I guess it's for limited tasks. Um, but again, to have Samuel L. Jackson sort of talk to you, that'd be kind of cool. I have to imagine. I suspect this will be another revenue stream for both individuals and for um, companies, right? It's all about the apps, if you will. So it'll be about the voice. So I expect lots and lots of famous people and famous voices to come out, and you can have options. And hey, Monday it's Samuel L. Jackson, and I don't know, Tuesday it's I don't know somebody else, Robert De Niro or something. So I expect that's coming. It's not for all tasks. It is very limited, at least by what I saw. But what do you want for 99 cents? So that is interesting. And then next up, I just saw something we talked about. I think it was before Thanksgiving. I don't remember when it was, but it was about Frozen. It had to be longer than that. But Frozen 2, we talked about Frozen 2 being one of those indicators about the economy and the consumer and all of that. Still being healthy, going to the movies, spending money, $30, whatever it is. But it just went over $1 billion. I think it went over $1 billion certainly in less than 2 months. So again, just another sign the consumer's feeling good. They're happy. They're going out. They're making a day of it. So again, lots of stuff going on. Consumers fine. Fed's easing. Trade war, at least for the rest of the year, is sort of out of the headlines. So again, stocks are going to go up on light volume probably into the end of the year would be my guess. And then I think January is going to be interesting. So use this time. Look at your portfolio. It is record highs generally across the board. So be careful. Yes, I suspect, as I said earlier, some people are looking at that portfolio and going, I'm going to sell, but I'm going to sell January 3rd or 2nd or 5th or whatever trading day it is. Be careful. Lots of people are thinking that. So in the end, have a great day. We are going to go off and do some charity work and support a emergency warming center so that we can help support some individuals that are really, really, really could save some lives. So at the end of the day, that is pretty cool. All right. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.